So another question is, of course, one thing that we are very used to, or rather familiar with already, there's always changes in regulations. So I guess the next question is how to navigate and comply with the tsunami of regulations and constant, I guess, circulars, new updates and etc. We also see more and more self-declaration. Is it humanly possible to keep up with all these updates? How do you deal with it?
We can only update ourselves, I think. There's no choice about it. So courses, seminars can make it easier.
For me, I kill two birds with one stone because I happen to teach at NUS as well. So, and I run the same course over for both semesters. That means I do the same course twice. So I use that opportunity when I update my lecture notes and slides. I use that opportunity to go through the circulars, and update my office library. So that kind of keeps me on this regular thing lah. But I think that I believe YAL has got a group of architects, right, updating things, something like that. So like an organization like SIA could have people sharing resources and making so that not everybody has to do the same thing over and over. So if we kind of collaborate and come together so that we can help each other and share the resources, then I think that will help the industry. Other than that, it's very, very difficult right now. I really feel sorry for people entering practice now because it's like they're, confronted with this all of a sudden. I guess for me, I went gradually from the paper version to the CAD version to the BIM version. So it was gradual for me. But I think, it's very, very tough for people entering now.
It's also exposure, right? Doing the work which requires you to be engaged with all the topics, right? So that it's not something you leave after 3 months, then you go and revisit it again. And I think, yes, you're right, Catherine, absolutely, it's quite overwhelming for younger architects. They need to take a bit longer to get, to the QP kind of stage, I think, or they should. But I think it's also, to commend or to give some credit to the agencies, they do make resources available. The circulars are coming out regularly. Fire code now is much more easy to navigate than when I first started practicing. So, but once again, I think you have to keep looking at these things over and over again.
And technology is it can help you, but it can also be it's a double-edged sword. So you can use it to help you, but it's basically a multiplier. So if you are very organized, then it will help you to become more organized. But if you're very disorganized, then it will make you 1,000 times worse.
So it's actually easier if you understand the basis of the code. So you try to find some meaning to why do they write it in such a way or that. So when they change, at least you can update your thinking a bit. But most of the time, like what they said, if it's in a digital format, young people tend to just type the keywords.
Search keywords,
So it creates a tunnel vision thing where you're just looking at certain clause without context. And that is not good. So essentially because maybe we come from way behind, we know what is the basis, why do they do it this way, when they add on certain things due to amendments, due to making it better or clearer for the code, it is a lot easier to understand. So that's what I find a bit lacking nowadays. So what we try to do in office is we do sharing sessions. So sharing sessions help. I think the bigger office, they do that. So in small offices, we try to do that. And of course, if everyone, assign a topic to a younger person, you can research on that topic itself, like fire, and then start to say chapter 2, what is happening, chapter 3, what is happening. So everyone learns from each other.
Actually on the fire code, I think what SIA does very well as well is every year they have the seminar, right? The big one, the full day thing. Which is it's a lot to get through, but it's very, very useful. And I think it's very helpful that different people speak on different topics, right? And give you all the context as well.
I've actually drawn a mind map of the fire code for the students. So actually in drawing that mind map, it helped me to understand the fire code. I find, I mean, like, actually our brains are attuned to a graphical format rather than, you know, a written format. So usually what I recommend to anyone trying to understand anything is draw it. You know, like what is the logic of this? If there are so many intertwined clauses, then how are they actually interrelated? When you start drawing the mind maps, then you start seeing the relationships. Then it doesn't become this dry thing where you're just reading clause by clause by clause. Yeah, so it helps a lot to draw time sequences, draw the logical relationships between the various clauses and whatever.
Yeah, and discussion with peers. So I thought during back then when we were preparing for PPE, for QP exam, we had a study group.
Yeah.
So it helps a lot when you talk to different people, understand what kind of projects they are doing, and then how does the regulation apply in certain contexts. I think it's, there's limited things you can do in our lifetime, right?
Yeah.
So you will never meet another
and volunteer
project.
for the committees. Because when you work in the committees, then you meet other architects and you learn from each other.
Yeah.
Then if something goes wrong, you got a shoulder to cry on. Yeah. So it's important to sort of be in touch with your peers. Yeah, not work alone. Yeah.
So yeah, we should definitely help each other out and make sure that we all stay up to date. Another thing is, do you guys think that the definition of a qualified person has changed over the years, or will change in the coming future?
Well, first of all, what do you understand to be the definition of a qualified person?
Wow. Interesting question. I got maybe. Wow, it's quite comprehensive, right? for basically what a qualified person is.
If I can add into that, I think to me it's interesting that it's actually quite clear and kind of cut off, right? Like, this is the responsibility of a QP. And if anything, I have full faith that kind of scope of work will remain. It might morph and take on a few more responsibilities. I mean, like you mentioned, the code's always changing. I think the basic essence of being a representative for the client and engaging with the agencies for statutory matters will be the crux of it and the basis of it, right? And I think that will always be the case because there's a need for that kind of person to exist, lah. We've talked about how some clients don't even know what they need to do, right, when they get a property or they develop a property. So I think that's I have confidence, lah. At least I don't know if I'm just optimistic here, but I think that's something that will remain. Yeah.
What do you understand a qualified person to be?
Well, I mean, it is largely defined by the whole process of getting all this certification. I mean, we are put through the whole system of the courses, the understanding of the regulation, the understanding of contracts, in order to go through this test, and somehow someone gives you the badge, you know. You're qualified now. So I mean, it is a mixture of experiences, how you handle things. If you can answer someone coherently about what is roughly the correct way to do things, you can be a qualified person. It's not that hard, actually. And to me, it's like a driving license. You know, as long as you know how to operate the vehicle, you have a driving license. So as long as you know how to operate the code, the contract, you are qualified. But of course, I mean, there are different types of qualified person as well. So we can only say that it's largely defined by the parameters that we have already set out to, you know, to label this person as a qualified person. Yeah. So whether or not you are one or you are not one, I think it's just in your good interest to do good for the project. Yeah. So even, I mean, I have seniors who doesn't want to be QP, but they are more than qualified. Do we call them qualified person? They will say, no, I'd rather not, because it doesn't come with the responsibility. They don't want to get it, because I don't want to be responsible for all the actions that the QP did. Yeah.
Well, fundamentally, we are agent of the state. We're actually representing the government. We're like the bridge. So we're the bridge between the masses and what is required. And what is required is tied to policy. So it's from the policy that it trickles down, you know, through a statutory act being passed. Then it trickles down to the subsidiary legislation, trickles down to the codes and standards and whatever. And then when we design, we have to translate all these codified requirements into this physical thing that we are designing. And then when it's built, whatever is codified here has to manifest itself physically. So that's our job, actually. So from all these words, these dry words, it can become this amazing building that's safe for people to occupy, you know, and is economical, fulfills client's brief, etc. So I think it's a very special function and a very valuable one. It's not about ticking boxes, it's not about submissions and compliance and stuff, it's much bigger than that. Yeah, so, and I also, like, there's been, you know, sometimes there's discussion, sometimes architects say, they don't want to do all this, why not have just someone who specializes in, you know, like architect of record in the US, right? Why not just have someone do submissions? But can you imagine, I mean, that to me would be a very boring role, right? I don't know, for me, I rather work more holistically. Like, if I know the codes, then when I design, I got the codes at the back of my mind. But I can still do what I do, right? I can still make something beautiful or nice with that code. And I certainly don't want to just design without knowing the codes, then give it to somebody to mangle my design because they're trying to make it comply, right? So I still think that the human brain, right, we have this ability to mash this stuff together and then somehow come up with this thing, you know. So far, I think, like, one of the conversations, like, oh, is AI going to take over our role and this kind of thing? I don't believe it can, because real life is just too complex and too variable for AI to be able to come up with something in a way that a human can.
Just to add to that point, I think an old boss of mine shared this with me when I was very young, or younger. He said it's actually about responsibility, right? The design aspect as well as the statutory aspect. You can't, you know, push them apart. Yeah, because what you're designing, you have to take responsibility for that as well. If you're not going to do that, then you shouldn't submit as well, right? Regardless. So, yeah, fully agree.